right, I just wanted to talk about hats today. Start off with a hat. This is a, actually, I made this video already, but I thought, you know, this is a tall hat. It's taller than me, but the way I had the camera, it chopped my head off. And talking about hats without seeing the top of my head is kind of strange. So I started off with this cap. A lot of people, they wear baseball caps. It's kind of a, you don't want to do your hair, or you're just going outside, keep the sun off your face. Baseball cap is like the original cap that people wear, and this is a nice one. So it has gray, different little flecks of gray, a little bit of darker flecks of gray in here. No logos, has a soft feel to it. I got it at Target for, I don't know, 15 bucks. You can also get different shapes. I got this from Gorin. It's, they call it the Cadet. So same fit. It's actually a fitted hat, so no buckles in the back. Gorin's kind of nice. If you know your hat size, you go to get a fitted New Era hat. You learn your hat size. You can just order offline. I got this on a hat sale. I didn't pay anything over $30. Same thing. This one is ribbed, like a texture. It's really cheap inside. It's all dirty inside. I think it looks pretty good. And I paid about $10 from Target a couple years back, so styles probably came and gone. But it just gives you a different look, but still keeping in with that baseball theme. But I really wanted to talk about fedoras. This is got this one from Gorin. This is the one that really got me excited about. Actually, I bought one in my hometown. This one was a little bit more extreme, a little bit more, I think it has just a slight size, maybe a half an inch bigger in the brim. So it more of a hat. The thing about these hats, so it's a fedora. What makes a fedora? It's got a brim that you can change. This gives you kind of an adventurer look. Some might say Indiana Jones. You don't want to get typecast and be like, hey, Indiana Jones. More of like a name calling, but I think it looks good with it flipped up. That's how I wear it. This is how I see it in the mirror, straightforward, but if I turn my head, it gives you a different look depending on how you are seen. It's got, I put my card inside. Last video was better than this one, trust me. So nothing inside. It's got a cloth liner. No, some you might see some that have like a satin liner inside. This one is actually really soft. It's got a center dent. It's called a pinch front. A lot of guys would pick up their hat like that. You might see Indiana Jones grab his hat, put it on like that. So maybe that's where the pinch first came from. I got a pretty sweet feather. You know, this is like a middle of the road type of hat. It's actually on your cheaper side of fedoras, but that is a deluxe feather. When I first put it on the hat, I had it sticking straight up, and these were actually too high. Then tilted back, it just gives that the right flow. So black band. Actually, I had the light on prior, though the light was better this way. I love the Gorin little button. It's a castle. When you're not wearing them, you gotta display them nice. Hat racks or hat stands are really hard to come by. They're expensive. They usually are like cheap spindles. I would assume you could make your own. Actually, I made this one with junk parts. I wanted to go into a thrift store. I haven't seen this or this together since, but I bought them both on the same day. This is a candle stand. It's really bulbous. Lots of details here. This is a wooden bowl. I got this for a couple bucks. This for probably $1. Put it together. This has actually like the size of the top of my head, so it's a little bit more substantial than a real hat stand you would find. You can get hat stands. I think they actually look like this one made out of metal on Amazon. That's probably where you're going to find it. So when you're not using your hats, you can display them. The thing about, you can go into vintage shops. Usually my head is larger than the ones that if I was to find a hat, hats are hard to find nowadays. You'd think every American man had a hat on before 1960s. I got this for a really good price. I love it because of that little detail right there. But the thing is, hat shops are not going to be selling their stands because they use them to display their wares. So why would they ever get rid of a hat stand? It's like selling part of their shop off. These ones are kind of like an in-between, like a throwback to a, called like a Newsboy or a Gatsby. This one is from Brixton, although it's an XL. This is my size. XL is my size in Gorin. But for some reason here it's really big. You can kind of see these pockets up here. If I had like a ton of hair, I bet it would be perfect, but I don't. This hat stand is an old spool. Antique stores, they seem to have one. It's really nice patina on here, metal edges, and then it's a kind of a beat up edge. I actually like the way this sits nice and low like that. Some hat shops use these in their displays. Another stool, a bigger one. I stained the wood. It was a blonde wood. But this is the hat I wanted to talk about today. This Brown Fedora. It's got a wider band than the one I just showed you from Gorin, but since it's black, you really don't notice it against the chocolatey brown. My Gorin, this is called the Dean the Butcher. Now Gorin seems to have like 100 styles on their website, which is, I find, a bit overwhelming, a bit too much. And the prices go up a little bit every year. But this is a center dent. This could be a number of things. It's kind of a pork pie-ish look since it's down so low. You can almost call it a teardrop. Like, look, I'm crying. A teardrop. Triangle shape, but not really rounded edges. Whatever it is, it's just pretty cool. It does come out a little bit. The back drops off a little bit. That's a style to the teardrop. This was my grandfather's hat. If you look inside, it's got the satin lining inside, which I just think completes a hat. Instead of cloth, it's a leather binding. It says XXX quality. Leather just looks, a little more rich to me. I always wondered about this, though. It's got this plastic inside. Come to find out, the plastic was to keep, it's to keep sweat from penetrating your hat's felt. But also, I never thought of this. Back in the olden days, 1950s, which I'm sure this hat was around then. I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about it. It's called a penny martin. Supposedly a penny martin is the same hat that the owner of Seabiscuit wore in the movies. No pinch on here. But this plastic would keep the grease. So if you ever watch like the movie Grease, they'd slick their hair back. This would keep that that grease off your hat. It's got a bow, tell you where the back is. I never even picked this up on the first look. It's got a business card. Kevin, you might see his hat videos online. JJ Hat Center Kevin. His greatest tip was to leave your business card in your hat. So if you ever leave it behind, somebody might, on the chance, call you and let you know. He said if you leave it in a cab, if you don't have your card, you're not getting your hat back. There's a good chance you might get it back. You could even put reward on there. So, and then another thing Kevin showed me, although I discovered this ironically a couple days before I saw the video, is this one doesn't show you the hat size, but if you pull up the leather band, there's a second hidden hat size, and this one is a 7.5. Although, and it's a little snug, but I think, did I show you what it looks like on me? I like the way this looks. Just put it on your head. That's how you wear a fedora. Nowadays, the kids are wearing it to the back. And they say if you want to have some style, you put it to the side a little bit. You can snap the brim down again, but I don't. So, let's see. The feather, there's a tri-colored feather in here. It's just the right amount. Nowadays, feathers all have this certain look to them, where this one's vintage with the hat, so it's got a good look to the hat. I picked this up this summer for like a fraction of the price of what it would be. It's a nice oak. I love the coloring on this, and it's also the very tallest hat stand I have. Just other hats can hide under this massive hat stand's length. And then lastly, you can keep your hats clean, free of dust, with a horsehair hat brush. This one is actually for shoes, polishing your shoes. I find it works just as good. I don't know if it's any, if the bristles are any more rigid, but it works. It kept these hats all, I must have knocked off 40 years of dust off that hat. So you can keep your hat in a box if you want to keep it truly dust free. You're not supposed to ever set them on the brim, so this is where the hat rack would come in handy. You're not supposed to set them on the brim, you'll lose that curvature, but I think they just look cool being displayed this way. So TV, it's almost a relic as much as the hats. It's more a hat stand itself. So alright, take care. Thumbs up if you like the video, comment, subscribe. Yeah.